Shit. N'attends-tu?
Ensemble, j'entends quelque chose. Ah, ben voilà.
Oh, OK.
Voilà.
So we're live and recording?
We are.
Is the mayor aware?
It's 6:30, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Bienvenue à notre réunion conseil. Welcome to our council meeting. The municipality of West Nipissing respectfully acknowledges that we are gathered on the homelands of the Anishinaabe peoples on the traditional territory of the Nipissing, Temagami, and Dopes First Nations covered by the Robinson-Huron Treaty. We honor and recognize their historic connection to the land and value their significant contributions in shaping and strengthening our community. La municipalité de Nipissing-Ouest souligne respectueusement que nous sommes réunis sur le territoire désigné dans le traité Robinson-Huron, territoire traditionnel du peuple Anishinaabe, particulièrement des Premières Nations Nipissing, Temagami et Dopes. Nous honorons leur lien historique avec cet endroit et nous apprécions leur contribution significative à nos communautés. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest, aucune déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire? None. Is there a mover and a seconder for the addendum? Conseiller Bon, Conseiller Norm.
It is moved by Councillor Duhayman and seconded by Councillor Belge. Be it resolved that the addendum for the meeting of council held on November the 1st, 2022 be approved as presented.
Any objections? Aucune objection? None. Carried. Adopté. Mover and a seconder for the agenda. Conseiller Chris, Conseiller Lise.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that the agenda for the meeting of council held on November the 1st, 2022 be approved as presented.
I have an amendment, which I hope council will consider. It has to do with the iPads of council avec les tablettes des membres du conseil. The reason I'm asking that we introduce the memo that was provided to members of council by our Director of Corporate Services, A, is for consistency. This was discussed in 2018, which many members are around the table when we made it transparent and discussed the matter of disposing of the iPads of council members. So I propose that this amendment be added to the agenda so we can discuss and make sure that we follow due process for disposal of municipal goods. Would there be a seconder? Conseiller Normand? Conseiller Normand, seconder for the amendment. Is it possible to also ask for a recorded vote for the proposed amendment?
So the amendment to the agenda to include an item regarding the disposition of the iPads. Councillor Duhayme,
Yes. Yes.
Councillor Fisher,
Yes.
Councillor Larrabee,
No.
Councillor Belge,
Yes.
Councillor Ravita,
No.
Councillor Lee Senecal,
Yes.
Mayor Joanne Savage,
Yes.
carried.
Yes.
It's carried.
Oh, sorry. I thought when you said, okay, carried. So that will be an amendment. Are there any other questions pertaining to the agenda? None? Carried. We move on to correspondence and accounts, les comptes et courriers. Is there a mover and a seconder for the minutes of October 18? Conseiller Yvon. Conseiller Leclerc.
It is moved by Councillor Duhayman and seconded by Councillor Berge. Be it resolved that the minutes of council held on the 18th day of October 2022 be adopted as presented.
Are there any questions or comments by members of council? I do have a question. Item number 12. Further correspondence or discussion with a legal advisor was going to take place but never occurred and have not received an affirmative date of when this will be done. So I'm asking our CEO if it's possible, subsequent to the discussion in closed session, when will the legal letter or legal communication take place to be able to finalize this issue?
What is the issue, Madam Mayor?
Number 12 on the closed minutes.
Oh, so we're not discussing closed minutes in a public setting, are we?
I'm not. I'm just asking as a follow-up.
No, well, normally, interesting last meeting like that, but normally if you want to raise minutes to a closed session, you would move into closed session because some of that discussion was privileged. So I don't know if I'm missing something here.
Well, customarily, our open meeting minutes would reflect the action item that took place in closed. So
Sorry, I mean, you might be right.
I'm just questioning the
documentation.
action
Was there
item.
an act?
Well, the action item is you had informed all members of council that there'd be a letter that would be issued, but there was no letter that was received so far. And I've been probing and asking for the date, and no date has been provided. So I'm making reference to the action item, not to the discussion of what took place in closed.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, you froze up. So the discussion about the action item took place in closed? Hello?
The
Can anyone-
action item from the closed session, which customarily, when we go back into an open meeting, there's nothing that prohibits our minutes to reflect what was the action item, i.e. further legal advice, or i.e. further correspondence will be done or issued. So I'm not disclosing the content, but I'm just asking for a follow-up pertaining to the action item of what will be the date for the correspondence or the phone call. I've been asking via email and not getting a firm answer. So that's why I'm addressing the issue here.
Okay. So if it's the issue that I now think you have, you're going to be contacted by somebody by our lawyer at that lawyer's leisure. We don't direct the lawyer. It's the lawyer's file. The lawyer has been retained by an insurance company, and you will be contacted. We were of the opinion yesterday, so it should be imminent. The lawyer has some health issues right now, but rest assured you'll be contacted.
Okay,
So,
so
fine.
am I correct to say that there's going to be either a letter or a call or a contact before the end of this week?
I can't confirm that. The action I can indicate to you is that the lawyer will be contacting you. Now, the lawyer indicated to us late yesterday that she couldn't for health reasons and was hoping to yesterday. So I imagine your contact's imminent, but I can't promise something from somebody else if I can't be sure. But you will be contacted imminently.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further questions or comments? Any objections? Aucune objection? None carried adopted. Is there a mover and a seconder to receive the various board and committee minutes for Au Château, Conseiller Alice, Conseiller Chris?
It is moved by Councillor Lee Senecal and seconded by Councillor Fisher. It resolved that the minutes of the following boards and committees be received. Au Château Board of Management, September 21st, 2022.
Are there any questions or comments? Any objections? Aucune objection? None carried adopted. On procède avec affaires nouvelles. We proceed with new business. Is there a mover and a seconder to award quotation for brushing and ditching on Dutrisac Road? Conseiller Normand, Conseiller Yvon.
It is moved by Councillor Berge and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Be it resolved that the quotation for brushing and ditching on Dutrisac Road be awarded to Deep Construction, having submitted a bid of $87,190 plus HST, meeting all requirements.
Are there any questions or any comments? Question through our CEO. Will this be for scheduled work that will be commencing and be completed before the end of this year?
You're on mute.
Oh, I would imagine so. I haven't looked at the documentation, but if it's a tender award in this year, we have annual fiscal years, so they wouldn't be committing without having that discussion, and they wouldn't commit a future council. So I'd be safe to say that yes.
Any further questions? Any objections or objection? None carried adopted. Do we have a resolution for the authorization to proceed with the application of a clean fuel fund program?
We do.
Okay, is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Alice, Conseiller Yvon.
It is moved by Councillor Lee Senecal and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Whereas the West Nipissing Economic Development Committee is recommending to Council that Council move forward with a feasibility study regarding a biomass supply chains and designation of West Nipissing as a bioeconomy development opportunity zone, a BDO zone. And whereas the feasibility study is estimated to cost $110,000, and whereas funding is available through the Clean Fuels Fund, establishing biomass supply chain, which will cover 50% of the cost of the study. Be it therefore resolved that Council for the West Nipissing Municipality supports the initiative and directs staff to move forward with the funding application to the Clean Fuels Fund, establishing biomass supply chain in order to complete a feasibility study seeking designation of West Nipissing as a bioeconomy development opportunity zone, BDO zone.
Thank you. Just a quick summary before I'll pass it on to our Director of Economic Development. Through the Economic Development Authority, with the volunteers that sit on that committee, we have Monsieur Jean-Pierre Martin, who's been a champion for biomass for many, many, many years. He was instrumental in bringing this to the board's attention. I believe that with his participation, along with other board members or committee members and our staff from Economic Development, our Director of Economic Development and our Economic Development Officer attended a conference call earlier this summer regarding this matter. And afterwards, I do know that Monsieur Jean-Pierre Martin, who has been instrumental with this initiative and sees the opportunities that lies ahead that could benefit many wood suppliers, not just for West Nipissing, but throughout the outlying areas, communities, and our First Nations, brought this suggestion for consideration. Now, what happens is funding. There's a funding application deadline date, which is November 23rd. and EcoStrat, who have been instrumental in convincing the government of the day to allow biomass to be introduced through the Clean Fuel Fund program, are probably one of the only ones that can do a designation for biomass zone. And the zone is to be able to have the designation that we have the resources within our backyard, the accessibility within our backyard, and to allow opportunities of future investors that would come and bring jobs and look at opportunities on how they can develop biomass initiatives and investment. So based on that, EcoStrat, who is one of the only company or organization that can do the rating for an area, they are also willing to contribute 50%, I believe, of the municipal contribution that's requested. And I believe that Mr. Martin was so excited about this opportunity that he's reached out to each member of council to explain the entire process, the opportunity, the benefits, and at least keeping the door open not to lose out on any potential funding. The dilemma is that we're a lame duck, and then there's a new council that's going to be sworn in November 15th. And there's the fear of, if this is deferred to later, that if we miss out on applying for funding, and we all know when we apply for funding, there's never any guarantee. But if there is an opportunity to get the funding, that means that the future council will make a decision if they want to proceed with this venue. So I'm just going to pass it on to our Director of Economic Development to see if he has anything to add.
Thank you. Through you. I think just to look at this opportunity is a great initiative for our community, because not only could it have an impact on forestry, it could also have a positive impact on opportunities and investment for our agricultural sector. Biomass is not only from forestry, but we also have biomass derived from farming and agricultural processes. So I think the Clean Fuels Fund will do a feasibility study to determine the available or surplus or unused biomass, both from an agricultural standpoint and a forestry standpoint. And then once that's determined, if we can pinpoint that we've got, at least as a community or a region, 100,000 tons of available biomass on a sustainable yearly basis, that is, then we take that information and we go through the process of being designated as a BDO zone. So I think the first step is feasibility study to determine what we have. And then secondly, you use that information to move forward. Now, EcoStrat is certainly a company that is well-versed and qualified in this manner. And again, I'm not sure how we can sole source this type of contract. It is a contract that is above the $100,000 threshold. They did submit a letter to Monsieur Martin. They addressed it to whom it may concern, identifying that there's a potential of them providing an in-kind contribution of $30,000 that would lower the cost of the study, the feasibility study, from 107 less to 30,000. Now, the Clean Fuels Fund, on October 20th, they had a WebEx information session scheduled so that proponents that considering submitting an application would sit in and have an opportunity to ask questions pertaining to criteria, eligibility, and whatnot. Both our economic development officer and myself were registered. We did connect through the link provided by Natural Resources Canada, but lo and behold, the information session did not take place. I did email the fund for clarification on that and to see how we can ask those questions, and I've yet to receive any answers from them. So we do feel that this is a very significant and important initiative for our community. we would like, or we would recommend to council that we do submit an application under the Clean Fuels Fund. And we will make an assumption that we are asking for 50% funding at a total cost of $110,000 for this initiative. And once we know if we're successful in obtaining the funding, by that time, I'm sure it'll be a 2023 decision. We will have more information to bring back to council regarding sole sourcing or not a contract of this magnitude, and allow and provide as much relevant information to council at that time to make an informed decision on how best to move forward, taking into consideration all of our procurement bylaws and whatnot.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Conseiller Latmire, Conseiller Broley.
Thank you. I did have some, but they just got all answered, so I won't repeat the same. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Conseiller Broley.
Thank you, Madam. I totally agree with this project because at this time for the logging industry, there's hardly any sales for the pulp wood, and when they do have the sale, it's a specific type of wood that they want, and it's costing the logging companies a great amount of money going back and forth. So with this project, it would alleviate that problem. Once this project gets going, it could really help the logging industry, the forestry industry, definitely. So I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. And I believe also that the logging industry as a general process leaves a lot of debris in the bush, which decomposes and releases a lot of carbon into the air. This process would capture all that carbon and make it, I guess, disappear or make a good use of it. So then we would improve the air quality, and it would encourage the forest to grow new trees that would, and the tree turns carbon into oxygen and cleans up the air. So I think when you look at it on the green perspective, I think it's a project that does merit a lot of study and support at this time until we have further information. Thank you.
Thank you. So pertaining to the resolution, it's to give direction to staff to proceed with the application for funding to ensure that it is in by November 23rd, the deadline date. Any objections? Aucune objection? None. Carried. Adopted. Okay, the next item is the authorization to sign winter maintenance agreements for private and unassumed roads. Do we have a resolution for each road, or is it a resolution that lists all of the roads that we have on the agenda? Do we need a mover and a seconder for each?
It's a combined resolution.
Okay, thank you. Who is any mover and seconder? Conseiller Lise, Conseiller Yvon.
It is moved by Councillor Lee Senecal and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Whereas the municipality of West Nipissing has received private road winter maintenance agreements for certain roads within the municipality, and whereas the roads in question have been inspected and identified as meeting the municipality's standard for winter maintenance, be it therefore resolved that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to sign the 2022-2023 private road winter maintenance agreements with the residents of the following roads: Alfred Road, Argo Road, Pellerin Road, Point Road, Prangs Lane, and Saint Jean Road.
Any questions or comments? Conseiller Lise?
Well, just a question, is it the same as last year, like a little one that comes every year? So is there any new one in it? No? Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Any objections? Aucune objection? None carried. Adopté. Proceed with the addendum. Authorization for the temporary street closure for a tree lighting ceremony. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councilor Chris, Councilor Laflamme.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Berge. Be it resolved that council grants permission for the following temporary street closures for the tree lighting ceremony to be held on Friday, November the 25th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. King Street between William and Russell Street, and John Street between Main and King Streets. Be it further resolved that emergency services be notified of the temporary street closures.
Any questions, comments? Any objections? Aucune objection, none carried. Adopté. Resolution to authorize the temporary street closure for the West Nipissing Parade of Lights. Mover and a seconder. Councilor Yvon, Councilor Lee.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that council grants permission for the following temporary street closures for the West Nipissing Parade of Lights to be held on Friday, December the 2nd, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Clark Street between John and Queen, John Street between Clark and Michaud, Michaud between John and Ethel, Ethel between Michaud and King, King between Ethel and Queen, and Queen between King and Clark. Be it further resolved that emergency services be notified of the street closures.
Any questions or comments? None. Any objections? Aucune objection, none carried. Adopté. The last item would be the council use of technology pertaining to the iPads. And the subject matter here was regarding an email that was issued to all members of council October 26th. If individual members of council wish to retain their iPad, there is a $75 buyout fee. Those wishing to retain their iPads must temporarily return the iPads to the municipality. Please indicate that by the week of October 28th, and payment and temporary return to the municipality must occur prior to November 9th. If you do not wish to retain your iPad, please return it to the municipality before November 9th, 2022. I just asked for it to be added to the agenda because I know that in November 2018, there was a report provided to members of council of the day by staff identifying those that had the interest with the acquisition of the said equipment, because it was identified that the equipment was, I'm not that techie, I don't recall exactly the term, but pretty well outdated. So it was an opportunity for members to do the acquisition. So I just want to see, I wanted to make sure that we have it on record and have some type of consistency of the past practice that was done 4 years ago. Any questions or comments?
I do.
I believe.
How
I believe our Director of Corporate Services could reply to your comments and comment on our memo.
Okay, so I'll pass it on to our Director of Corporate Services and then open the floor for any questions, comments, or clarification.
So the last time when council was offered the opportunity to buy out their iPads in 2018, they were 8-year-old iPads at the time, so it was an 8-year-old fleet, and they were it was just a nominal value that was assigned to them, and that value is done in conjunction with our IT manager, who evaluates what the possibility of reuse for our equipment is. If you ask about who had expressed interest, everyone except for yourself, Madam Mayor, has already made arrangements to purchase their iPads, or has already come in and purchased their iPad out for the $75. So you're the only one that hasn't indicated your intent, but everyone else has made arrangements. already with their iPads.
Just to add a point, I think what you also need to know along with Mr. Yarosh is it is small in nature. So what we did was ensure that the price we were offering was consistent with what the value was. And the value was anywhere from 50 to 125, that kind of thing he was saying. So we kind of said 75 would be fair. And he indicated that would be a fair price.
Okay, any questions or comments, Councillor Alice?
Well, I just want to know, we have to bring it to, because if we're by the 14th, obviously our term is finished. It means that we've got to be out of the server. Why should do we have to bring it if we're buying it? Because then we won't have access to nothing. If everything have to do with the municipality, we won't receive any email or anything. So, because I don't understand why we should bring it to be cleaned up, because like for me, for example, I only have my email, so it's very easy to delete. And after that, I know I won't have access. Like I just finished my job, and that's the way they did it. Like, I mean, I kept my laptop and I kept my phone, and they disconnected me the day I was gone, and there were nothing. I never received anything, and so I'm just curious why we have to bring it. And on the 9th, well, obviously, we're finished on the 19th, on the 14th, so.
So it was offered if because people wanted assistance in wiping their iPads. I've spoken to a few counselors who have indicated that they can wipe their own iPads and they don't need to bring it in to wipe their iPads, and that's not been an issue.
Okay, so I'll bring the check tomorrow. Thank you.
But subsequent to Councillor Alice's question, the date that had been identified on the memo, November 9th, and it also makes reference that municipal emails will go offline on November 4th, or term due end on November 14th, and to allow the provision of being able to complete our term, and in the event that there's anything under our authority till November 14th, why are we being put offline?
So we have other ways of reaching you. If we need to reach you in the time in between, the reason you're being put offline is that we only have so many licenses for our email, and we need to reassign those licenses to the new council because we have an entirely new council, and our IT needs time to decommission one and set up the other. So that was just to give our IT a sufficient amount of time so that the the license could be reassigned to the new councilors and in place for November 15th. We can reach you other methods. We don't need to rely on email to reach you.
Okay, but I requested as mayor to stay on till the 14th due to the extra responsibilities if ever there's a state of emergency, or if there's ever any request for fire services outside our area or mutual agreements. There's different levels of authority, and as mayor, I identified that I wanted to remain on email and access to my iPhone till the 14th, where I would be bringing in the laptop and the iPhone on the last day. Is that doable?
Well, I have to say, if you're wanting to respond to an emergency or a fire, and you think that we're going to wait for you to reply to an email, it's probably not the method that we're going to reach you at. And we can talk offline about how long we can have a turnaround on your specific incident.
Okay, but that wasn't my question. And I did identify that I didn't want to be using personal devices to respond to municipal issues or municipal business. So what I had requested is to maintain devices in operation till my last day, which on the 14th would be bringing in those devices. I think this council still has some authority till the 14th, and there should not be an expectation that members of council cannot be reached.
Your authority is at this table. If we need to constitute an emergency meeting for some crisis, we will convene it and we will have you here. You might have some transitional issues. At least we, by the Friday the 9th, we can extend, we can leave the mayors on till Friday the 9th. I remind council that they're the property of the corporation, and the administration of the corporation is doing what they need operationally to achieve a smooth transition. But I believe in the case of the mayor, we'll extend it the week. But then after that, we need to transition to the mayor-elect and a few others.
I don't want to overcomplicate the issue with the transition. I do know that, there's an entire new team, but I also want to make sure that we're able to fulfill whatever duty we need to fulfill.
Rest assured, Madam Mayor, we'll ensure that whatever duties you have until the rest of the term will be fulfilled.
Okay. So do we need to adopt a resolution at any members of council that wish to acquire their iPads?
No.
That it is, no, they'll just be recorded in the minutes?
No, we don't even, Madam Mayor, if I thought we needed to go to council, I would have. We don't. We're fine.
Well, Jay, the only reason I ask it is because it was.
Oh, I know, and I
recorded.
responded to you, Madam Mayor. You don't.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank
You're welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So this does conclude the last item on the agenda. And you know that before closing, there's always the section for the mayor's report along with members of council. Are there any members of council that have any words to share since this is our last meeting? Maybe what I'll do is just do a roundtable or Conseil Alice.
Well, I mean, it's very simple. I want to thank all residents for the support that I have received in the last 4 years. It was always a pleasure to serve you and to be able to do a little bit what I was able to do. Wishing the new council the best of luck. Hopefully they will function better than we did. And that's about it. And Madam Mayor, I live my hat to you, to have the patience, to have the wise word that you have at some point of time, and most of all, the patient. I think you raised your voice twice in 4 years. So thank you very much. And thank you, all residents of West Nipissing, for have voted and have made the message very clear. So thank you.
Thank you, Conseil Alice. Conseil Yvon.
I too would like to thank the municipality, the members of the municipality, the public, and everyone involved. It's been quite hard for the last 3.5 years to do things, but we managed to pull through. I wish well to the newcomers. And I'd like to thank you for being the mayor, and I enjoyed working under you, Madam Mayor. And I'd like to wish you well in the coming years with you and your husband. And I thank you very much for being part of the system that we have before us.
Any other comments? Conseil Chris?
So yeah, I'll just echo all those previous statements. Totally agree, and I want to thank staff as well for putting up with my constant and incessant questions and being so patient with me. Thank you very much.
Dave Rowley?
Thank you, and I'd just like to say also to resident of Ward 6 and all the residents of West Nipissing that it's been a privilege and an honor to have worked for them, and also a privilege and an honor to have also work with staff. It's I do have very good memories. I'm going to have good memories of this. So thank you very much.
Hey, Dan, did you want to address the floor or share a comment? Okay, well, I think Conseil again, maybe technical issues, but.
I think he's frozen.
Okay, well, In the interim, I'll just share a few
Conseil
words.
Roberge.
Oh, excuse, conseil Norbert. Non, voici conseil Norbert.
No problem.
My apologies.
No, don't apologize. I have had the shortest term, so I should be the last speaker. I wish to thank all the support, especially with staff, on all the committees I've served. I mean, they've been very patient with me, and I really enjoyed it. And I wish the best to all the newcomers on council, and I wish they enjoy the experience because there's work ahead for them. Thank you. Good
I think Conseil Dan is still remains present, but, okay. So I want to start off by saying a big thank you and recognition to all the wonderful volunteers of West Nipissing for making West Nipissing a better place to live, work, and have fun. Donc, félicitations à tous les volontaires de les mêmes comités de la région de notre belle municipalité. Vous faites une différence positive dans nos communautés et pour le bien-être de nous tous. I also want to say a big thank you to the many committee members and committee board members. We have so many committees that assist members of council, facilitate the decision-making process. Committees such as the Accessibility, Agricultural Advisory, Museum, Police, Sanitary, Environmental Services, and the list goes on, the library. Without your valuable participation and engagement, it would be difficult to do all work that the council life is required to do. My hat goes off to all of you. Planning committee of adjustment as well, because we're instrumental in making municipalities and making business progress. I also want to say a big thank you to the many employees of the various departments that the municipality governs, from environmental services to recreation to public works to libraries to fire services to policing. You are there as public servants, and it's not always an easy task to be able to serve the public, but you do a phenomenal job and you do your best. And for that, we are proud to say that your services are really effective and efficient in being able to meet the needs of our constituents. It's been a great pleasure. I've been honored to be on council since amalgamation, 5 years as a councillor for the Ward 7 of Verner, and 19 years of under the tenure of mayor. C'était un honneur et un privilège de travailler pour le bien-être de chacune des communautés et de notre belle municipalité, et surtout de travailler pour nos citoyens et citoyennes. My motto has always been, if there's a will, if there's a way, if there's a will, there's a way. And at the same time, my only words of advice to the new council is never lose the focus of our most valuable resources, nos ressources les plus chères, qui sont les gens, who are the people that are the taxpayers. And you do your best, and by communication and engagement and working with all, there are so many opportunities that can be done and move the municipality forward in areas where it meets the needs and the actual wants of our taxpayers. Je tiens aussi à souligner l'appui continu que j'ai écouté durant mes 24 années sur le conseil. I've had so many acquaintances, so many individuals that I've had the pleasure, the honor to work with. And thank you so much for opening that door and allowing me to grow and grow with you and to grow our municipality together. C'était un privilège et j'en suis humble. J'ai travaillé avec maintes membres de conseil à maintes reprises et des gens qui ne sont pas parmi nous aujourd'hui. mais je vais jouir de les beaux moments et les belles expériences qui ont été éprouvées. Je tiens aussi à soulever que j'ai eu le vécu de travailler avec maintes organisations, même membres et différents conseils d'administration dans divers secteurs de notre communauté. Et j'en suis fière de pouvoir eu l'expérience de pouvoir éprouver ces travaux. Throughout this term, I'll be honest, it was probably the most difficult term I've ever experienced throughout my 24 years. I remember 4 years ago, after inauguration, providing my inauguration speech. And there were basically 3 fundamental issues that I really aimed and hoped as far as accomplishment with this council. A, accountability. 2, transparency. And 3, making sure that all residents would value Town Hall as their second home, where they would feel comfortable walking in, feel comfortable coming in to obtain information, comfortable to get the support that was needed, to be able to help them out with issues that they wanted to move forward with. It's been a challenge, but I do hope that that vision gets accomplished by future elected councils, because at the end of the day, taxpayers have earned that right and deserve that right. I take the opportunity to also congratulate the newly elected Mayor Kathleen Thorne-Rochon, along with all the newly elected councillors, and wish them nothing but the best. And that your engagement and your future dedication to this municipality is instrumental, because we all have a passion and we all love West Nipissing. Sans plus retarder, j'aimerais aussi soulever l'appui continu que j'ai éprouvé lors de mes 24 années de ma famille, mes enfants et mon conjoint. It was a personal decision that I had made, but without their support, I would have never been able to do what I loved. They were my anchor. Tomorrow, I will be their anchor and have the opportunity to enjoy a little bit of freedom and quality time with them. So on that note, thank you to Deputy Mayor Yvonne Zapine and to the members of council that I've worked very closely with throughout the last 4 years. Donc, si jamais il n'y a aucune urgence qui survient d'ici au 14 novembre, les gens de Nipissing-Ouest vont pouvoir témoigner l'inauguration d'un nouveau conseil qui aura lieu le 15 novembre. And I wish the new council a successful term, but most of all, 2 things. Never lose sight of communicating and updating your taxpayers. And thank you. Merci. Miigwech. Is there a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting? Conseil Maire, Conseil Alice.
By Councillor Norman Roberge and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2022-98, being a bylaw of the West Nipissing Municipality to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 1st of November 2022, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Any objections? None. Carried. Adopté.
It is moved by Councillor Norman Roberge and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that the meeting of council held on November the 1st, 2022 be adjourned.
No objections. Carried. Adopté. Bonsoir. Good evening.